Hey everybody, what's up? This is Blasco. We're here for episode 2. We have a name now. We are Elite City. And say hi to Mr. Co-host Rick City.
Hey, how's it going? It feels very vain to name this after me, but here we go.
Hey, yeah, it's.
I mean, they named a whole wrestling company after the Elite, so I guess it's okay.
That is true. That is very true. And I mean, you built the brand. I mean, people don't know, but I know you from a hockey blog, and yeah, I mean, you guys invented that. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Though I still say RJ City is stealing my gimmick.
100%. I've called him out on Twitter several times. He ignores me. He did acknowledge you once.
He did once, yeah. That was like apparently he worked for WWE.
Which I did not know
until I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you're both from Toronto. Weird that there's people naming themselves, putting city at the end.
That's right.
We had a very interesting week in AEW here.
For sure.
A lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff. The Owen Tournament is officially underway. And before we go any further, much props, Mr. Tony Khan and Mr. Chris Jericho, for getting Martha Hart to a freaking...
That was... I was shocked that she was there. I mean, not shocked, but it was great to see.
Yeah, I 100% did not think, personally, I thought there'd be like a video message or like
I thought maybe she'd be like to present a trophy at the very end or something, but I didn't think she'd like be in the crowd for it. That was cool. Yeah,
and I mean they announced this past week she's going to be at the finals, Double or Nothing too. The whole family's going to be at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, and how much do the kids look like Owen?
Oh my God, the oldest son, Oj.
Yeah,
literally looks like Owen with short hair.
Yeah, for sure.
Unbelievable. We got Adam Cole over Dax Harwood. How do you feel about that? That was not a surprise, obviously.
No, I mean it makes sense in the sense that Adam Cole's a singles wrestler and Dax Harwood is a tag wrestler, and they want him to get back to being in a tag.
Exactly.
The idea of him winning the Owen for the Hearts was a nice one, but realistically, I didn't think he was ever going to win.
And I mean, you got to give Adam Cole credit. I mean, he puts Dax in the sharpshooter, makes him tap. I mean, come on.
Before he did the super kick, he did the stomping.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he said, "I'm sorry."
That was great.
Yeah, and he did the "I'm sorry" that Mr. Michaels did to Mr. Ric Flair.
Who's wrestling again?
When I read that today, I thought that someone made the greatest meme ever. And
I've heard rumors and hopefully this is true, that it's like a 6-man tag that he's barely going to be involved in. But yeah,
these guys, and it's all professional athletes. I mean, we just talked a few minutes ago about you were involved with a hockey blog, and we watch sports. I mean, I don't have it in me, but these guys that can't let go. I mean, it's in their blood. I mean, I don't.
And it's got to be that he wants to be like in front of a crowd and be a wrestler, because people were saying like, oh, does he really need money that badly? And maybe he does. But I mean, he probably does. But there's other ways for, wrestlers or former athletes or celebrities to make money now.
Yeah, I
mean, he could do stuff on the internet. He could do appearances or whatever. Like Undertaker's charging $300 an autograph.
And an extra 100 to write Hall of Fame or HOF. I'm sorry.
not even Hall of Fame. Right. HOF.
Yeah, he's 3 extra letters is $33 a piece.
That's right.
My goodness.
But anyway, back to Dynamite.
Yes, back to Dynamite. We had Ruby Soho, clean win over Riho, who Riho was not as heelish this week.
No.
Now, I had one complaint with this match, and I even made a note here in my match notes to what your opinion is on this. I personally think Ruby needs to let loose. I think she's wrestling too much of a WWE style, and it looks very
Yes.
choreographed to me.
One thing I've noticed with her, and I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but a couple other people who've grown up or developed in WWE is the facial expressions.
Oh, it's very yes. Like
I know that's what I
like
know that's what they tell them to do, but like when someone kicks out, like the big shocked face,
yes,
and that Ruby Soho does that a lot.
yeah, and like uh the air guitar and headbang into the ring, like that is like semi.
Yeah, I mean, as a wrestler, she's a good wrestler. I like her,
Exactly.
but yeah, there is a definite. You can tell this with a lot. I've heard a lot of people say this about AEW now. When AEW started, 3 years ago, most of those people, other than Chris Jericho, Moxley, Cody, hadn't had anything to do with WWE for any significant period of time.
That is true. Very
So
true.
they had sort of their own, indie ROH New Japan thing going on. And now there's a lot more, most of the big stars have gone through WWE.
And the infamous PC.
Yes.
So, and I understand they regiment that, into their heads. I mean, it is muscle memory at this point.
Yeah, I don't think it's anyone's fault. I don't think it's the wrestler's fault for doing it. I don't think it's obviously Tony Khan should have hired these people. They're good wrestlers.
Right.
So I'm not. It just, but you can tell.
Right, and I don't fault WWE because it works there. Like,
right.
You don't look at it. It would be weird if you saw an indie style in a WWE ring, and that's why a lot of these guys got fired, probably.
Right. And it's one of the reasons actually why, not to go off on another Cody tangent, which I seem to do a lot. Cody does seem to work very well in WWE.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've seen how much of Cody you've seen in WWE, but he fit in like he was a WWE guy.
Yeah, it was like he wasn't gone for 6 years.
Right.
It was like he was just injured for, 18 months or something and just had a big
comeback. And then came back and was Cody. Yeah. So there is a definite style difference, and you can see it in someone like Ruby Soho for sure.
And like I said, she just needs to let loose, which she will. I mean, like I said, it's in there.
Did she do any real indie time in between WWE and AEW? I think she did like a couple shows, but I don't think she did like
that. But I'm not 100%, but I do remember. I think her like tweeting out that she had some appearances that she was allowed to do.
But I don't think it was it was pretty soon after she got released. She came to AEW.
Scooped her up. Not early on in her indie career. I mean, she had some indie experience, but they got rid of that. The WWE got rid of her experience and made her go the other way. Which again, more power to her. She made a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and to an extent, if you're a pro wrestler, sports entertainer, and you want to learn about, I mean, a lot of the things that WWE teaches people are good. I mean, they do make it a lot very generic, very regimented, which I can see a definite downside. But a lot of the stuff, I mean, working for TV, like again, when AEW first started, you could see Moxley versus anyone else. Moxley knew how to be on a television show.
Exactly.
Versus, some of the other guys, even like the Young Bucks, who, they'd been in New Japan, but they weren't on, or ROH, but they weren't on, national North American TV.
I think it was on the Brody Lee tribute show when they did the interview with John Silver and Alex Reynolds. He told them how to be television wrestlers. He was they would hit a move and forget to look at the camera because they weren't used to having a camera.
Right. And there was a lot of, especially early AEW, there was a lot of, things happened off camera. A guy dived out of the ring, but no one saw it because they weren't prepared for that. Yeah.
And again, it takes to unlearn what to move forward, and that's.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked it up. She was in WWE from I mean, NXT WWE from 2016 to 2021. So that's 5 years. So yeah,
Years. 5
that's a
years
lot.
of doing the same thing over and over and over. And then that leads us to the other women's match. We had Toni Storm clean over Jamie Hayter, which I definitely thought there was going to be some Brit interference.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a good match.
Fantastic match. That's going back. The Cole match was great. Ruby's match and Riho was great. Again, minor complaint. Tony needs to clean up that spike pile driver. To me, it looked like she almost killed Hayter.
It looked pretty. Yeah, I don't know if that was a botch or that's how she works. I haven't seen her seen her work very much. But yeah, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, but if that's the way she makes it look, oh my god, that looks real.
Yeah, no, that match was good.
Oh, it was very good. I have that down. That was my match of the night. But my match of the week, we're going to get to here in a second. We had the Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin, my God match.
That was, and I say this in the best possible way, it was barely a match. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. It was great.
I mean, we were texting back and forth. I literally thought someone was going to end up in the hospital.
I thought when Darby jumped off onto the chairs, I thought he broke his back.
You have I was literally speechless when that happened. Jeff literally stood up to be like, okay, I can't just lay here. I have to try to catch this guy.
And he kind of caught him, but not really.
Well, I mean, he was 20-some foot up.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Clearly Jeff did his best.
Right, but when for Jeff Hardy to stand up, you knew that Jeff was like, all right, I should just lay here. He's either gonna kill me or himself.
I can't in good conscience let this happen.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, this kid's too young. I just can't lay here and take this. But the ending, what an ending!
Yeah,
and the one wrestling move there was.
And it was. I mean, for the crazy spot fest that it was, there was a story to it. I mean, Jeff Hardy's a veteran. Jeff Hardy's he did a wrestling move in a non-wrestling match, and
yeah.
I was surprised. I thought Darby was going to win the whole thing.
I 100% agree with you. I really thought Darby was going to win this match, and almost of pass the torch moment.
Right.
They did their build-ups I grew up watching you, and I'm honored that you looked after me, and you're doing this because of me type deal. And then they just they swerved us, which is great.
Yeah.
I love a good swerve.
That's the one negative you can say to a lot of AEW big matches is you can tell who's going to win.
Yeah, that is true.
So that was really cool that Jeff won. I liked it.
That was a very good segue on your point, not knowing what I was going to bring up next. We had the Hangman Punk confrontation.
Oh, that was good.
Not only was it good, I don't know who's going to win this match.
Yeah, for sure. They started off on kind of a weird note with this storyline of Punk just being like, I want the title, and Hangman being like, okay.
Right.
But in very quick fashion, they've made it really good.
Both heelish, they've both been aces. I'm very invested.
I even saw someone pointed out that the week that Punk wasn't there 2 weeks ago, Hangman went out and cut a really tough promo against him. And then when Punk came back, Hangman didn't have anything to say to him.
That's awesome.
And I mean, he's had his confidence issues, and how does he deserve this? Is he a good champion? Can he be the champion? And and Punk is someone who's just as popular, if not more popular than him.
Right.
It's good.
And it's very good. And like you said, this could solidify Hangman. If he could beat Punk, but also, you don't know how much time Punk has left.
Yeah, I think Hangman will win, and then it'll turn Punk more of a heel. That's what I would think. I if I was writing this, and I feel like Tony Khan is the kind of wrestling fan that writes things in that way. But yeah, I mean, don't you kind of have to make CM Punk your champion at some point?
You do. I mean,
And should it be now? Arguably, yes.
yeah. I mean, he's still not even in there a year yet, and did start at the bottom. Uh, those guys, even Danielson and all the Cole and all those coming in, and people are like, they're not booking them right. They're not booking them right. If they would have put them up front, then everybody would said they jumped over everybody.
Right.
So, I mean, it's almost a year, and Punk hasn't really had any title shot, correct?
Punk's story coming in was, I mean, for the last year was good. I mean, he came in being, I'm an old guy who hasn't wrestled in a while. I want to build myself back up. That's why I'm facing these other wrestlers. I'm not going after, I'm not Bryan Danielson going after Kenny Omega. I'm going to start lower down and work my way up to show that I can do this, to show myself that I can do this. And yeah, it's been good. And Hangman had his own sort of thing. He won the title, and I just realized this right now. He won the title, and he had to kind of put himself through I have to show I can do this thing.
That's a great point. I mean,
he went against guys like Lance Archer in crazy matches and the insanity with Adam Cole, and
that's very true.
Yeah, it's good. And how many weeks? 2.5 weeks? How many more? 2 more Dynamites, right?
Yeah, we're like 10 days away.
Okay, so 2 more Dynamites.
Yeah, this week and next week.
Yeah.
This coming week, I think they're back in Texas, and then the following week is the 3 live shows in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm very excited. It Double or Nothing has potential to be like possibly AEW show of the year. I think Forbidden Door, just because of what it is, will be voted by whoever show of the year.
Right, on like star rating matches. Yeah.
Just because, I mean, it's unprecedented. It hasn't happened in years. So, but this could be AEW's big show. Is Double or Nothing their quote unquote WrestleMania? I never know this.
They've never really solidified what that is. It's it's any of the ones that aren't Full Gear. But I mean, Full Gear was also really good. So
yes. Okay, I wanted to ask you that. And
Double or Nothing kind of snuck up on they had. It seemed like there was no real build to much of this until like the last couple weeks.
Exactly.
But then now they suddenly have a lot of really good stories going.
And yes, and the blow off at Double or Nothing, there's a lot of stuff's going to end, and a lot of stuff's going to start, I think.
Yeah.
Story wise. Now to just break it up a little bit from the serious stuff to the unserious stuff, we had the Jericho Appreciation Society victory speech.
Yes.
I could not get enough of this. This was hilarious. Like these guys, you could say what you want about them calling themselves sports entertainers. I think it's fantastic, but also their acting is amazing because how they don't laugh. The absurdness
like
comes out
2.
of their mouth.
Is ridiculous in the best possible way.
Well, I had 2 notes down here. Angelo brought up AEW Galaxy again, and then coined Jericho 216. I just burned your face. If that's not a shirt, I don't know what is. I thought that was fantastic. They are, and the fact that Hager, like everybody, he's still the same Jake Hager. He didn't change his character at all, which I think is actually even funnier.
Yeah.
Like he's still just a brute that doesn't wear a shirt. So amazing.
He never wears shorts that has like weird pants all the time.
Yeah. He's got his joggers on and like high socks. It's fantastic. And Eddie Kingston keeping kayfabe alive with the makeup, with the burned face. And he even did that at the New Japan show.
Oh, okay.
He had makeup on and wore
that's awesome.
Brody Lee shirt. They told him he could wear whatever he wanted, and that's what he wore, which I thought was great.
And speaking of storylines that just went from nowhere to 100, or I don't know what the saying is.
Mm-hmm.
The Blackpool Combat Club showing up.
Oh yeah.
with Jericho, and that suddenly became. I mean, that went from something to that was nothing to, oh wow, that's going to be amazing.
Yes.
So
And
fast.
that it's going to be just great for the fact that they're going to try to. We're not wrestlers. We're sports entertainers. We don't fight. It's just I'm gonna, for my own personal enjoyment, I'm gonna love all the promos cut
And there's
leading
a
up
there's
to
a
that.
Jericho Regal segment coming this week, right?
Yes,
That's going to
which
be great.
by the end of it, do we get Regal screaming blood and guts?
Yeah,
So I'm dead
maybe.
serious. I mean, they own
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. It's
I,
yeah for sure. I didn't think of that, but yeah,
I mean, it's almost gonna blood and guts a double or nothing. I mean,
it's possible.
oh, I don't even know what blood and guts is, but it's awesome. I thought it was the 2 ring thing, but they did that already, correct?
Yeah, wasn't that the two? Wasn't that? Isn't that their War Games? That
That's
is Blood and Guts.
that is blood and guts. Well,
Yeah.
isn't that what I thought? That's what Regal screamed at NXT all the time.
No, he screamed War Games.
Or, like, didn't he scream blood and guts at NXT? Or
I know, but
did they
he would
patent it to like get a ribbon?
he would yell. Well, two things. He would yell War Games because NXT was doing War Games.
Oh, okay.
So he was like the commissioner or whatever the authority figure was of
Okay.
NXT. So he would be like, "You're meeting in War Games," and
Okay.
Blood and Guts came from Vince McMahon.
Okay. So then all they did was patent it and turn it
Right.
into war games.
Because Vince
That
McMahon said
makes
something
sense.
along the lines of like, "We don't have that sort of blood and guts in our company."
Wow, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Um, well, then I hope we get a blood and guts. I don't know
Yeah,
if that would be a double or nothing. That'd be hard to set up unless they had
yeah.
a.
Because I think the last time they did it on Dynamite, they taped the rest of the show in advance.
Yes, and then that was live.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think they could do it at a double or nothing.
Unless they set up uh, at one of the other places. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking it's like Raw. Like they don't have a Monday show. I was like they could do
Right.
the Sunday show and have the double ring set up for Monday and just take one down. But no, they're
Right.
Wednesday, Friday.
Right.
So yeah, and maybe they pre-tape that. Uh, I don't know. But blood and guts.
Yeah, last year they did it because they had Daly's place, so they could do it there. But
That is true. Well, we'll see what happens. But it's that storyline, like you said, it just kicked into, excuse the pun, full gear.
and yeah, and Regal is, I mean, like Moxley and like Jericho, they can do, and Danielson to an extent, they can do really funny, and then immediately
yes.
get really serious.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
In like in the same promo, in the same segment.
Even when he laid out Jericho with the punch, Regal, like he kind of made like oh, I didn't expect that. Like he just kind of looked at him like that was easy. Like it was typical Regal. It was amazing.
It was great.
We moved on to we had Death Triangle and House of Black teased, but it looks like it's happening. They came down with,
and they've been waiting for that for a long time. They've kind of held all of them on in a holding pattern with no storyline until this match.
Phoenix got back from being injured, and Pac's back in the country full time again. We're probably going to hear something. Today's Monday. By Wednesday, that there's going to be a Death Triangle House of Black match at Double or Nothing.
And I wonder if they'll stick some sort of stipulation in it because that would work for them. But I don't know what it would be. Like a ladder match would work, but what are they going to grab? So they can't really do that.
Maybe like an elimination type match
or something.
Like a Survivor
I feel
Series,
like there's going to be a stipulation with that.
I would love to see that. Or maybe just full blown street fight. I mean, you could always do that. Excuse me, I needed a drink. Okay. That's interesting. I never thought of that. Like some sort of specialty match, or
I feel like that's something Malachi Black would do. Like he would propose some kind of stipulation.
Yes, like a normal match is just too easy. We don't need
something along those. I mean, he's into like all kinds of interesting, weird stuff. So
very true.
I could see him coming up with something cool, and Penta is too. So
hey, maybe we could have like the for the number one contender for the now known trios titles.
Yeah.
Like, if they know, they've let it out that they have it. So if you win this match, like you're the automatic, you get a shot, or you're number one in the tournament, or however they're
or something. Yeah.
Right.
Or you get a buy into the first round or something like that. Yeah.
That would be, there you go. Something like that would work. See, your brain thinks differently than mine, and I appreciate that, because I was thinking just a normal match and let them beat the hell out of each other. But
yeah, I'm just thinking that only because you want to have a match where they can all be in the ring at the same time to do ridiculous things.
Yes, yeah. There's got to be double and triple teams. I mean, especially with the Lucha Bros, those guys know each other backwards and forwards, and yeah, there just needs to be full blown chaos in the ring. Almost like I was gonna say, almost like the Hardy and Darby match.
Yeah,
I don't want to see hold for hold reversals. I want to see these guys go insane.
The Hardy and Darby match, now that I think of it, reminded me of I can't think of a specific instance, but there was a lot of late 90s, early 2000s WWE pay-per-views where they would book, Steve Austin against, Dude Love. And then day of the show, Vince McMahon would be like, it's a no holds barred match or something.
Right.
It reminded me of that. Like, we just booked this tournament match, and then Darby's like, why don't we have no rules? I'm like, all right. And that became the match.
Right. And it just makes zero sense why you have that kind of sway. But
like, why it's just allowed until, except that Tony Khan wants to see it too. So okay.
Yes. Keeping it light again, we had the almighty Danhausen have his first match.
Yes.
And I don't think it could have went any better.
Yeah, some people I saw were upset about that, being like, oh, he got squashed, but like, no, that's perfect.
It's perfect because it set up Hook coming to save the day.
And
Come on,
everything. And I've never, like I said last week, I've never seen Danhausen in a match. From what I can tell, he's good, but I've never seen him in a match. And I'm assuming that a sizable portion of people watching Dynamite have never seen him in a match. They've seen segments, they've seen interviews, they've seen him. So yeah, for all we know, he does nothing other than like he's funny.
Right, and that it worked so well though.
It worked perfectly. I mean, it's great. Like he's supposed to be the little weird guy who does weird stuff, and then Hook comes and saves him.
Right. Well, we learned that they're going to have the tag match on the Double or Nothing buy-in.
And I feel like that could be a moment when like maybe Hook starts the match, or Danhausen gets beat up at the beginning, and then you're thinking, oh, can this guy do anything? Is he even a wrestler?
Oh, that's where it's definitely gonna, yes.
And then suddenly, oh yeah, he's a good wrestler.
Yeah, because they even said, Smart Mark came out and told, he's like, Tony, I'm not a wrestler, and he's like, okay, dude, I got this.
Right.
So yeah, they're gonna do something like you said, like Hook starts the match, beat him up, Hook gets the hot tag, and then he'll laugh at Danhausen, and then Danhausen goes bananas. And oh no, it is 2-on-1. Yeah,
like, oh wait, he can actually wrestle. Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fun, and it's gonna get the crowd hyped up.
Yeah.
I'm not AEW crowds 9 times out of 10 don't need hyped up, but
right.
It's gonna get the crowd going. Then we had the Dark Horse hilarity segment of the night with Billy Gunn and the Gun Club. when they said they were going to form a new faction.
I completely forgot about that, but that was great.
I made a note because when his kids just kept saying the DX things, and he kept going, no, that's never going to get over. No one will think that's funny.
and I think it was who was the one who kept making the suggestions? Austin.
Yeah,
I love when he was just like, Dad, pick me, and then
he's like, all right, go ahead. He's like, we could point to our stuff and say something. And he's like, no one will think that's funny.
And the Acclaim suggestions were all like the stuff they're already doing.
Yeah.
And he was like, great idea.
Yeah, and he absolutely loved it. It made me so happy. He was literally cracking me up. He was hilarious tonight on on Dark too.
Not nice.
They did it was the Acclaimed and the Gun Club versus like four indie guys, I think. And he came out and he started the Ass Boys chant, which was so good. It was fantastic. We learned that Dynamite is subtitled Wild Card Wednesday.
Yes.
So they're putting a lot of stock into the wild cards.
Yeah. Again, that's why I feel if they have to be big at this point if they're making it the theme of the show.
Yes.
Or the lights go out and it's Satnam Singh.
Hey, as long as he dribbles someone, I don't care.
Now I can't really make fun of him because he's kind of cool.
Yeah, if that's his finishing move where he just dribbles your head on the mat, I'm all in. I forgot what I was gonna say. Dynamite, Wildcard Wednesday. Oh, okay, back on track. Did you see the tease from Candice LeRae and the Bucks on Twitter?
No, I've heard that there was one, but I didn't actually see it.
The Candice LeRae changed her Twitter, like what's it called, the banner, not like her Twitter picture, the thing on her profile.
Right.
Okay, she turned that. She changed that to a picture of her super kicking Matt Jackson. So the Bucks responded with, Nick is giving Candice LeRae like a buckle bomb, and you see Gargano in the background with like a shocked look on his face.
Yeah. Interesting.
So very interesting. But I don't think the Bucks would let. I mean, it would be awesome.
No, that seems like a classic Young Bucks swerve.
Exactly.
Where they know it's good. I mean, they're really good at getting the internet to talk about them.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, okay, is it really them or is it going to be people that we're not even thinking about? And that's just a little like, yeah, they'll be here eventually, but they're raising a baby now. But
yeah, I can see them coming, but I can see them coming in 6 months or something. Not.
Oh yeah. So I'm torn. I don't know if it's going to be someone new for the men or someone returning. I want it to be, personally, for my own personal satisfaction, I want it to be Claudio.
Yeah.
I think he would do so well in AEW just because.
Right.
Now, the women's side, I'm at a loss because my pick was Mia Yim, who she just signed with Impact. So I'm out of people. I don't know anybody who's out there that, you suggested maybe like a Japanese woman.
Yeah, the only reason I think it may not be a huge name is because I think they're going to lose. Because I think Britt Baker is going to face Toni Storm.
Well, that makes sense.
And would they bring in someone huge to have them lose immediately? Or is Toni Storm going to cost Britt the match?
Was Toni Storm in any sort of group or anything in NXT or WWE?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, I was thinking maybe if she was, maybe it was one of her girls, or the person that keeps going through my mind, who was the I can't think of her name. She was a tag partner with Asuka in WWE.
Oh, how do I not know her name either?
I could picture she was a pirate.
She was a pirate. Yeah, I feel ridiculous that I don't know her.
She's a free agent, and she did go back to Japan, which would work perfectly into Forbidden Door, and she could go back to Japan when she's done and just work.
Kairi Sane.
Kairi Sane.
There
Good
you go.
call. That would be my pick because that's the only woman that personally I know that is a free agent.
Yeah, that's a good call because she would get a pop. Like people would know who she was.
That's what I was gonna say. It's someone that would make a splash. Because if it's like some indie person or someone from Ring of Honor, even like, okay, some people are gonna know them, but you announce them beforehand.
Yeah, no, that's a good call.
Uh, but see, I'm trying to think of where she works. Does she work for Stardom or does she work for New Japan?
I don't
Uh,
know.
we'll
I
pull
think
Google,
Stardom, maybe.
pull Google search.
I'll look it up. Yep, Stardom. Currently
Okay,
signed to Wonder Ring Stardom, yeah.
okay. Well, they have a sort of working relationship with them. Uh,
Yeah?
yeah, because isn't that New Japan's like all women's promotion?
Yeah, because New Japan doesn't have any women's wrestlers, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's like in a roundabout way accepted. So maybe it is her. Oh, that would be if that's her.
That's a good call.
Yeah. Wow. I'll be stoked if that's her.
And we know it's not Chris Statlander because she's
And
now in the tournament.
that was the very next point. We have Chris Statlander versus Red Velvet. Red Velvet. Excuse me. For Rampage, which is on at 7 this week.
Which is slightly better than 5:30.
5. Yes. Oh, 5:30. Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was, but it was not a good time. But yeah,
it rules on the East Coast. I mean, I won't complain about that. It's
yeah. If you're in California watching it at 2:30, it's probably not a great idea. But
sir, can I take my break? I'm going to watch wrestling. I'll be back in a half hour. Again, we talked about it last time. Freaking Red Velvet and Jade and the baddies, or they're superstars all of a sudden.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I wouldn't if they announced this match a month ago. I'd be like, yeah,
yes.
I get where it fits in a storyline, but I do not care. But now, yeah, now I definitely care. Like the baddies immediately made Red Velvet so much more interesting.
And Jade, you were high on her at the beginning. I was not. I'll take my faults there. I'll eat those words. I did not think she was going to be this good this fast.
Yeah.
My God, the way she turned it around and the way that she doesn't need a manager anymore. And the fact, like when they came out and Marcus Sterling had the neck brace on and the crutches, and they just didn't even acknowledge him.
She just kind of looked at him like, "What are you doing?"
Like, yeah, like, are you serious? Come on. They're superstars. I mean, just
her in-ring work. I mean, she's not Bryan Danielson, but her in-ring work is good, and her character work has been incredible.
Yeah, and
she looks amazing. Her presence is wonderful.
What I was just gonna say, she has that air about her. She has that, like, I know I can take you, and I'm not even gonna talk. I'm just gonna take you.
Right.
Like, she just has that. And back to the Statlander thing. How do you feel about what went down with the miscommunication with Sheeta taken to Twitter?
I think I'm not that up to date on it. I know what happened. It was Sheeta mentioned on Twitter that she wasn't. There was conflicting stories, right? Because she's been wrestling in Japan.
Yeah.
And then AEW announced it as that she's injured.
Yes. And she made a tweet that said, I've wrestled 4 matches since I've been here. I'm not injured. I want the fans to know I'm not injured. That's something about disrespecting Japanese wrestling or something.
Right. Saying, pretending like it doesn't exist. Yeah, I understand that. And then followed it up with like, no, I was it's true that the doctors didn't clear me, but it's because I wasn't in the United States to be cleared by the doctors. So yeah.
Now, this is only me. She has a direct line to Tony Khan, Kenny Omega. Like, her and Kenny are like best friends. Like, don't go to Twitter, call him.
The only thing I see here is
unless it's a work.
Unless it's a work.
That's where I was going to go next. Unless
I can see where there's a potential, because I think what was her name now? She left and Tony Khan went on a Twitter rant afterwards.
Swole.
Big Swole. She said that there was sort of a communication issue sometimes, and I think Sheeta has was it Sheeta who said it? I think it was Sheeta who said it. That there was a bit of an issue with some of she was concerned about someone like Riho who was planning on moving to the US, or I forget, maybe it wasn't Riho.
Yeah, because, no, you're right, it was.
Because the communication issues between the Japanese wrestlers and AEW management was more difficult, obviously, because they don't speak English.
And again, that's where
I mean,
Kenny
not
Omega
saying
would come
she
in.
doesn't speak English, she does, but
Right.
other Japanese wrestlers.
Correct. And I think that's why they brought Emi Sakura, because Emi is like a locker room mom to them,
Right.
Japanese girls.
I can see it being like, and this would have worked in, you know, any other era or any other wrestling company, to say like, oh yeah, she's injured when like she's working somewhere else, because that's the thing that's the thing wrestling companies have said forever.
Right.
That's, oh, someone's not there because they're like, they'll write people out of storylines and have them be injured, but really they quit the company and they have a new job now, and they just pretend that they got injured. Yeah. But the way AEW works now, where they acknowledge everyone,
that just seemed.
It seems like a weird thing to do, and I get why they did it, because they didn't want to say, oh, she would rather do these Japanese dates than be in this tournament, or we didn't book it properly, like we messed up.
Yeah,
right.
Like, we forgot that she has to stay quarantined for 2 weeks when she leaves the country. Like, absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, just eat it and admit it.
Yeah, don't take it to Twitter. Like, deal with it between you and Tony Khan. Yeah.
And AEW fans are smart. Like, we knew she wasn't injured. We knew that Serena Deeb didn't hurt her.
Right.
Like, I mean, I love pro wrestling, but we understand. Like, just say, oh, she went home and now she's stuck with their COVID laws over there.
Right. The explanation that she gave later on Twitter actually made a lot of sense. That like, I had to be checked out by AEW doctors and I can't be.
Exactly. But
that makes a lot of sense.
And going to the whole thing being a work, this would be the perfect setup for heel Shida.
Right.
Like, what did you guys do? You kicked me out of the tournament. I was fine. Blah blah blah. You don't respect me. I got my butt kicked by Serena Deeb twice, and then you sent me back home. Like, that would be great. You know, I had to take to Twitter, and my fans said this. Like, that would be. And that brings us to the swerve that the Men of the Year threw everybody.
Yes.
Fantastic writing.
Definitely.
Because boy, was I mad at Ethan Page when he came to the ring, and I was like, okay, let's go.
This was another AEW had no storyline, and suddenly they have an amazing storyline in like a week.
Yeah. It was such a good, and all it was sleight of hand. Like, hey, look over here for a second. And everyone's looking over here saying, man, this is kind of lame. And then boom, they hit you with the other hand. It was It was done so well and so perfect. And then when you go back and watch it, I've watched that main event again. You see it coming from 10 miles away. But in the moment, I did not see it coming. I thought there was going to be a split and we were going to have a heel Ethan Page.
Right.
And nope.
That was great. I was surprised, and it was great. It was another ending that I didn't expect on a show this week.
Yes, it was a fantastic ending. Very well thought out. Very, very well written. Like you said, it made us care. Not matter, but they were kind of getting on your nerves.
That's another thing that if a month ago they had said we're going to do, Frankie Kazarian versus Scorpio Sky, I'd be like, yeah, I get why they're doing that, but
yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden now it's like, no, that made perfect sense why they're having the match. It made perfect sense why
they used Frankie.
Yeah, it was great.
Pawn. It was
great.
He was the pawn. Then you brought this up, so I think we should definitely talk about it. We had Rampage and Dynamite in Long Island, which biggest heel in the company is from there.
One thing to quickly go back on.
Yeah, that's
Sammy and Ty, are they heels?
Oh, I have no idea. I wish they would get them out of the TNT title picture, though.
I think from what I've heard from interview with Tony Khan is he didn't want them to be heels, but the crowd made them heels, and he learned from the Cody situation, and and was good. He didn't specifically say he learned from the Cody situation, but he said
Right.
he wanted them to be faces and people were booing them, so now they're heels essentially. And that was the problem with Cody, is that people wanted to boo him and he didn't want to be booed.
Right. He never gave them reason to, other than being himself instead of being full heel.
So Sammy is, I mean, yeah, technically he hasn't really changed except for the relationship.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean,
he's not like he hit a low blow in a match, but like that's not a definite heelish thing to do. Like it's
no, yeah, he hasn't done anything overly.
He hasn't liked the men of the year screwing over Frankie. Right. He didn't do that. He didn't screw over anybody. He didn't like.
Right.
But yeah, right. I guess they're heels just based on the fact that people don't want to see them.
Based on getting on people's nerves.
Yes, as a couple, nobody wants them around. Individually, yes, they're fine, but as a couple,
absolutely,
nobody wants them around. And yes, he should be out of the TNT title scene.
It's just time.
Yeah,
I don't want to see in 3 years. Like the title's only been around for, well, not even the company's only been around for 3. So like what, 2.5 years?
Yeah,
the TNT title's around. You don't need somebody to be a 3-time TNT title champion already.
Right, and you don't need it to be like, what's the history of the title? Cody, Sammy, Scorpio, Sammy, Scorpio. Like you don't. Yeah.
It's like the NHL scoring title in the
80s. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just Lemieux, Yager, and Gretzky every year. Yeah, you don't need that. It's. But see, he's in that gray area. I don't know.
Yeah, he's not going to be world champion either.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Like,
you're not going to put him up with Hangman or Punk or any of them. Yeah.
Yet, eventually, yes, I would put him up.
Yes,
there, but
eventually, yes.
But
maybe he could be in something with. Oh, I just thought of something that I don't know if they would do, but Ty Conti and Anna Jay were a team that kind of just stopped being a team. Like there was no fallout; they just stopped.
True.
And Anna Jay is dating Jungle Boy.
Ah, that is true. They could
and would people be annoyed if they made them an on-screen team? Like they were annoyed when they made Sammy an on-screen team.
Well, hey, if they get mixed tag titles,
yeah,
or if they let them defend, because Sammy and Ty now have the AAA mixed tag title,
right? So, and they've defended AAA titles in AEW before.
Yes, the FTR has defended them a couple times now.
And I would assume that Jurassic Express they feel like they're losing the tag titles soon.
I think they're losing them at Double or Nothing. I mean,
yeah.
This is just me. Is Jurassic Express? Excuse me. Is Luchasaurus maybe injured? Like if you notice, Jungle Boy's been doing a lot of stuff by himself.
Yeah, it's true.
I
didn't think of that, but yeah.
Maybe not like a serious injury, but maybe he's got like a sprained knee or or something like that, where he's just got to stay, because he's there every week, but they haven't. It's all been Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I guess they're heading to a storyline with him and Christian. It seems like
that, and maybe with Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks.
Right, but it's the only thing I could see with Sammy and Ty is that Anna Jay could be like, why are you so obnoxious now? Or we were friends. What are you doing? And then turn that into a match. But I mean, she could also tag with a Dark Order if you wanted to do a mixed tag.
True.
Pick someone from Dark Order and have them be your partner.
Oh, Alan Angels works. I mean, he's a vlog. He's on Sammy's vlog.
Yeah.
Everybody knows they're friends in real life. Oh, that would make sense too.
So there's definite things for them to do.
Oh, absolutely.
That aren't the TNT title.
Yes, and please let them go.
Though I guess they are heading to the Paige Van Zant match,
which that has to be with Ethan Page, right?
I'd assume it'd have to be Ethan Page and Paige Van Zant against Sammy and Ty.
That's what I would guess, because like they're not going to put Scorpio in that,
because he's the TNT
champion.
Okay, that's a way to take them out of that's a much easier way to take them out of the TNT title scene.
Yeah, Yeah.
And could they put the mixed tag titles on the line there?
Hey, if Paige, we talked about it last week. On that run in, she looked damn good. Like, obviously she has the cardio. I mean, she was a legit MMA fighter. So if she learned how to do these moves and she could put together a match like that, yes, give her a title shot. I'm okay with that. I mean, she didn't have to win, but
Right.
first match title shot, heck yeah.
Yeah, why not?
And then if she's not that good, like obviously Ethan would, or if she's not that ready, Ethan would carry the load. I mean,
and it's the AAA titles. It's not an AEW.
Exactly.
Title.
So it doesn't matter. That would. I wonder how Tony books those. Saying that out loud now.
I mean, they booked the AAA titles with that weird FTR when they wore masks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So I feel like, from what I've heard, AAA doesn't care. They want their titles on TV, and they don't really care. They don't really care how they're booked.
Okay, so they're just using the free advertisement to be on national television in the United States.
Right.
That makes perfect sense. I never looked at it that way. That's awesome.
And AEW is using as it's a title that we could do something with. That's not our title.
That, again, there's the forbidden door. That's something that you can only get in AEW.
Right.
You're not going to turn on Raw and see the TNT title.
Right.
That'd be awesome if things could work that way, but
right.
It's never going to happen.
All right. Off of our tangent, we can go back to
Well, it's going to lead to another tangent because, like I said, we had Rampage and Dynamite in Long Island. And well, before we get to that, let's talk about how awesome Punk wearing the Tavares jersey was.
That was amazing. And I thought it was great.
It was so good.
The only thing is they should have. Excalibur didn't know who John Tavares was.
Exactly.
And he really should have.
Yeah, they should have smartened him up a little bit. Like, hey, make sure say
because you could see when they came back from commercial, he made some line about it's like if you sign with Toronto for a big contract. Like he threw it in, like someone told him. But
yeah, that was so great because
it was great. He came out first with a Islanders jersey, and you think, oh, he's just sucking up to the crowd because they booed him last time. He wants, and then nope, not at all.
Well, that's Punk. Punk's a NHL guy, and he understands. That was absolutely amazing.
It was great.
And you brought up the good point with all the hockey jerseys that were worn last week. That has to be a tie-in with TNT.
I feel like it makes perfect sense. Yeah, yes. I mean TNT shows NHL games, and they're wearing NHL. Yeah, and even if it's not they didn't make it very explicit. They didn't be like, he's wearing a New York Islanders jersey. You can catch them on TNT. Like they didn't do that.
Yes, it's just there. It is.
But it's just there. Yeah.
And going back, I never even thought of it just because I know he's a fan, but Chuck Taylor always wears his 76ers jersey to the ring, and they also have the NBA on TNT.
There you go.
So that does make perfect sense. Now, to the
synergy.
Yes, to the big question here. This MJF contract talk or lack thereof, depending on what you read on the internet.
Right.
What's your opinion?
I think we're probably going to talk about the segment, but I'm going to go into the segment first because it's tied in. He mentioned Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions a lot. My contract's running out in 2024. And he mentioned, which I thought was brilliant, by the way, him being like, you're going to pay for all the things you did to my friend, Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
as if he didn't do those things.
Mm-hmm.
But
absolutely.
I think it's pretty convenient that he mentions his friend Cody Rhodes on a promo, and then it comes out in the wrestling news that he's upset with AEW.
Exactly.
And might leave AEW when his contract runs out, just like Cody Rhodes.
Right.
I think he probably does want more money, and he probably deserves more money. And I feel like
he'll probably get it.
He signed a contract with AEW at the beginning when he was not who he is now. And
yes,
from what I can tell, is some guys like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson make a lot more money than him, and he wants to make similar, which I don't blame him. I think he should.
absolutely.
And he wants, I think this is all true. He wants to rework his deal now rather than wait until 2024 to get paid more money. I think that's true. I think Tony Khan doesn't want to do that necessarily, because if he reworks his deal, does he have to rework everybody else's deals?
There you go.
I think all of that is true. I think the fact that it ended up in the media this week that he still talks to Cody Rhodes and he might be unhappy, and I think that's a work.
I agree. I think personally, I think all of it's a work. I think he does want more money. I agree with you on that. I just think they're seeing it as an opportunity that there might be a handshake agreement,
right?
But like you said, if he restructures somebody now, well, who's to stop
Sammy or anyone else who signed early on? Right?
Yeah, or one of the big guys like Paul White stepping in and saying, like, this is chump change. I'm used to making the big buck. I want
right, and that reminds me of the story of the Outsiders going to WCW, and then Bret Hart came in and made more money than them, and they were like, no, we want more money now, and then they got it. And could that be CM Punk gets X number of dollars, and then MJF goes, well, I want what he makes, and then CM Punk goes, wait, I'm CM Punk.
Exactly.
I should make more than that, right? And then you don't want to open that up,
and
you don't want to WCW this.
Exactly, because that's exactly what happened. You had guys just coming in and demanding absurd amounts of money, and then the company goes under, and then they still got paid.
And like we said before, Tony Khan, A, is a wrestling fan, so he knows that.
Yes.
And B, he knows how to run sports teams.
Exactly.
Where you can't give everybody top salary, because you can't. You have to kind of be, well, this guy's you're starting, this guy's a superstar, he has to make more than you. That's how sports work.
Exactly. Yes, there's a reason a guy on the fourth line makes less money than the top starting center.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way that it works. A lot of hockey talk this week. Man.
But I think I think the way they're mentioning it is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Because they never mentioned Cody, and I feel like they had sort of him and Tony Khan had kind of an unspoken agreement, or maybe very spoken agreement, to not mention one another.
Yes,
because Cody never bashes his time in AEW, and AEW never bashes Cody for leaving. And
exactly.
But MJF, the heel, who's acting like the face in his hometown, can go, my friend Cody Rhodes was treated badly.
He called him the roller coaster. That's amazing.
And it works. It works perfectly.
It does. It works perfectly, and it gets the internet talking. And MJF knows that.
And he's always working. I mean, he flips off little kids who ask for his autograph.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's always MJF, the character. Like
that's what yes, you took the words right out of my mouth. He is MJF, and he knows what he's doing. And he's just creating buzz for himself.
It's like the thing with the Young Bucks and their Twitter. Like they know how to work the internet.
Yeah.
Cody to an extent. Cody knows how to work the internet. Like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. And someone like MJF, like all MJF has to do is one time get his name in McMahon's ear, and McMahon will Google him or something.
Right.
Like, holy, this dude has millions of people following him and eating out of his hand. Well, this guy.
What I just thought of is, how Cody did the tease of him doing the pedigree all the time?
Yeah.
He wouldn't do the pedigree, but he'd tease it and then do another move. Yeah. Is MJF going to do the Crossroads?
Of course.
And how great will that be?
And I mean, Dustin has to come in and whoop his ass then.
Right.
Like, I mean,
this is so good. It's all so good.
I was just gonna say it writes itself. Like,
I don't want to be the guy who just like gushes that everything AEW does is great, but it's good. I like it. I enjoy watching these shows.
It's refreshing.
Which is why this is why we started this, to be like, we want to talk about it more.
100%. I mean, it's we talked about it again last week. Full circle again. It's like the 90s when you just could not wait to grab your buddy in the hall at school and be like, "Oh my god, that
Right.
last 10 minutes are raw," or don't cover your ears. Don't talk about WCW. I watch that on Tuesdays. Like
Right.
I'd always record Nitro and watch Raw live.
Right.
And this is what AEW brings. Like I don't stop thinking about it. I know that sounds weird, but it's like, oh, well, they could do this. Oh, but then that leads to
Right.
this. Oh,
Exactly.
and then of course you go down, you get on the internet, and then you have other people thinking like you, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
It's
And the
it's
callbacks with this MJF Wardlow thing to MJF's whole career of he makes you challenge other people to get like the Jericho angle.
yeah,
He made Jericho challenge other people to get to him. He's now made Wardlow do that. He's
yeah.
now doing the the steel cage 10 lashes thing that he did with
It,
Cody. Like he's doing an excellent job.
oh, yeah, he is. He's their number one heel, but if Punk goes heel, does he surpass him?
Right.
And that's I don't want to say they're scared of that because Punk's a damn good heel.
Right.
So is MJF, but is there room for that? Unless
Right.
they hug it out and become one, which I don't know if I'd be able to stand that. It'd be awesome in the worst way possible.
I feel like Punk and MJF is going to be kind of like a, and I don't want to. Okay, I'm going to tune down what I was going to say. Punk and MJF is going to be like a Austin Bret Hart sort of thing, where their feud is never really over. I mean, Bret Hart left WWF eventually, but their feud was never really over. They would have a feud and then they would not have a feud, but then they'd be in the ring again, and it's suddenly they're feuding again. And I feel like that's MJF and Punk. This feud isn't going to go on forever, but they're going to separate. But even now, I mean, they're referencing their feud. He's wearing the Islanders jersey. MJF's wearing the Islanders jersey. Like they're always kind of going to be intertwined. Which, if you're MJF, that's an awesome place to be.
And like doing all this without, no titles, no. I mean, yeah, he's the only person to ever win that ring. But I mean, you were talking about it this year when the tournament started. You actually forgot the ring was an actual thing.
Yeah, I forget about it all the time. I forgot about it until you mentioned it right now.
Exactly. Like you just think he quote unquote bought the thing or something like.
Right. You just think he's a rich guy who has a big ring. Yeah.
Right. And he won that, but you don't. As awesome as it would be to put a title on him and then just have him be the typical heel that never defends it, would be amazing.
Right.
But does he even need that? Because
does he even need it? Yeah.
Whenever he comes out, I mean, he's up there on the level of House of Black. You don't need to see them every week.
And it immediately makes whatever storyline he's in.
That's what I was just going to say.
The next important storyline after the world title. Like it's.
Yes. As soon as he gets involved again, you're invested because it's going to be good.
Right.
He could be, no disrespect to an up and coming rookie, but they could put him in a program with some rookie that nobody's ever heard of.
I mean, they put him in that brief program with Brian Pillman Jr., and that was great.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I mean, it was only like a couple weeks long, but it was great.
I forgot about it. And that was, yeah. I mean, he's that damn good. And I'm curious to see if they just are going to continually keep him heel, or I mean, he can do whatever he wants and the crowd eats it up. So I mean, he can control a crowd.
It's again, this is going to sound like I'm over exaggerating, but it's early Rock.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When the Rock was a heel, but everybody wanted to see him, and then he could just become a face because everybody wanted to see him, and then he can just become a heel again because he's just good at it.
Yeah. I mean, the Rock would have MJF, he gets this in Long Island, but the Rock could go 1 second, he'd grab the mic and say something, and the crowd would cheer, and then he'd call them all stupid and they'd boo him.
Right.
And then by the end of the segment, he'd bring them back around. They'd be cheering him again. So there's only few guys that have magic like that can play that gray area. And MJF is gonna. That's a good call. He will be that guy.
Yeah, and unless I don't know anything, I know he tried out for Tough Enough. I don't know anything
Yes.
about his like wrestling journey until AEW.
He
Unless he's a
was.
guy, unless he's a guy who really wants to main event WrestleMania, and there's people who do.
Oh yeah. I mean, why
Obviously, I mean,
wouldn't you? That's yeah.
if you grew up a wrestling fan, you want to be on Monday Night Raw and you want to main event WrestleMania. That's your thing. I get that, but unless that is more important to him than anything else, Tony Khan's not going to let him leave. He's not going to not pay him the money he wants to get paid in the end.
Yes, exactly. Like yes, Tony knows the importance of him, but like you said, if he can, you know, if he doesn't want to be on Monday Night Raw or main event a Mania or be in a Royal Rumble, yeah, Tony's not. I mean, that's literally letting your star player walk away,
Right.
and
much like John Tavares.
much, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but he did go to the Leafs. I mean, no,
Yeah.
no. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Really, no offense. I mean, yeah, I know you're a Leafs fan, but I was always,
yeah.
I was always a Doug Gilmour guy myself. Because I played like Doug Gilmour. I didn't score a lot of goals. I was more
right.
like I set the play up,
right.
And I even tried a little behind the curtain here. It's really funny. When I found out Doug Gilmour used an almost straight stick,
yeah,
I tried that for like a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a reason why. Yeah, I'm also like 14 years old. Like he's a grown man and I'm trying to like, I'll pass better with a straight stick. No, it made the game 3,000 times more hard. And he played on the NHL level with a straight stick. So,
right.
Sorry, another hockey tangent. Yeah, Tony Khan is not dumb, and Tony Khan is not going to let him walk. He will get, as long as it's within reason. I mean, but again, I don't think MJF's the kind of guy. It's like I want $5 million a year, or else I'm leaving.
And I don't think that he's going to ask for something that. I mean, WWE also they have budgets, right? I mean, they're not going to give him $20 million, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're not. Like they're just they released Bray Wyatt over or Braun Strowman over their contract, so like they're not gonna. If Tony Khan does give him $5 million, Vince McMahon's not going to come in and go $15 million. Like that's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a comparable.
It'll be a reasonable number, comparable to like whatever other main event wrestlers make.
But you see, you get that, like the things that you can't do in WWE. I would take the less money and be able to still work an indie show, be able to work.
This is my conspiracy theory. I think WWE doesn't care about Cody Rhodes. I think WWE looks at this as if we bring Cody Rhodes over from AEW because he wants to come here. If we bring him over and we book him well and we give him the WWE title and we let him change it back to the Winged Eagle belts and we let him have his old character and his own entrance and everything he wants, does someone from AEW look at this and go, oh, if they're letting him do it, maybe they'll let me do it too?
That could be their grand scheme of things.
Or do they just not? Do they not think that far ahead?
Well, there's also that. But I was going to go the opposite route of that. I was going to say, don't forget, there's also MJF has worked with Brody Lee, CM Punk,
right?
Bryan Danielson. I'm sure he's had conversations with Paul White and Moxley and all them. And I'm sure, not all those guys had a bad situation, but all those guys know how.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
And Cody Rhodes works in WWE because he's a WWE guy, even when he wasn't in WWE. He's a quote unquote sports entertainer. That's who he is.
Yeah. And
MJF will not be MJF in WWE, even if they want to they're not going to let him call people whores and like that's not, they're not going to do that. Like that's not happening.
Would he be allowed to be MJF? And I'm not kidding. I'm kidding here. Like, would they let him wear a Burberry, scarf? Would they have to change his scarf because that's a brand
Right.
that WWE might not want to,
Right.
maybe someone on their board doesn't like Burberry, or like
Right.
there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of that has to go out there too. And again, I'm sure Danielson and those guys are telling him that, like, look, this is what you might think is going to happen, but this is probably what is going to happen.
Right.
And
I can't see him leaving unless he really wants to work. He really wants to work in WWE, specifically in WWE.
Agreed. And
like if he's a kid who had a dream and he wants to be at WrestleMania, and you can't fault him for that. But
no,
the money or the character, he's going to get that in AEW.
Yeah, and if the way that Tony Khan has kept everything on a positive note, I mean, even there was a little spat with Swole, but they hashed it out.
Right.
Cody's going to be welcome back if he ever decides to, because again,
right.
Tony Khan's treating it like pro sports. McMahon
right.
burns bridges.
Right.
Like, if a guy comes and plays for the Jaguars and then comes to the Steelers for 3 years and then thought the grass would be greener, it's not. Mr. Khan, can I have my job back? Let's go,
right.
buddy.
Yeah, the John Tavares reference. If John Tavares tomorrow wanted to be traded to the Islanders, they would take him.
Right.
They're not going to say, exactly. But no, you left and you made us sad. Like, no, we're going to. Yeah.
So
he's not Vince McMahon.
No, fortunately, there's only one.
Yes.
Yeah. If there were many of them, an army of McMahons would be. Actually, an army of McMahons would actually be kind of cool. It'd be probably the best television you've ever seen in your life. But just all the different versions of McMahons through the years. I'm gonna have to text my buddy Ross after this. He'll totally appreciate what I just said, because me and him have these conversations all the time about how great McMahon was in the 90s. Well, and not to go this way, but that's what I like about Tony Khan. Like, you don't see Tony. Everyone knows who Tony is. Everybody knows that Tony's the boss. But he's not out there trying to learn how to wrestle. He's not out
and they mention him. They say this cause message from Tony. But he's not.
Tony Khan booked this match for next week. Like,
he doesn't show up on every show and like interject. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll eat my words one day, but there's not a chance in hell that Tony Khan will ever be AEW champion.
Right.
Maybe I'll eat those words, but I highly doubt that will happen. Whereas Vince was a few times. Do you have anything else would you like to talk about here? Because we went 74 minutes, man.
No, I think that was good.
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the upcoming shows. I mean, yeah, it'll be good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have. I'm going to try to get this edited and out before Dynamite on Wednesday. This one was a little longer, so I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But I'd like to personally thank everybody for listening. We had 10 listens last week. I know that people would laugh at that, but I did not expect to hit double digits, and that's awesome. So thank you to the people that listened. We're going to try to get at least that this time, and we're going to grow from there every week. Thanks everybody for listening. Until next week, at some point, we will see you. Rick, you have anything to say, or are you just ready to go?
No, I'm good. Okay, thanks a lot.
Well, all right, everybody. Till next week. Later.